Welcome back. Welcome back. Your man Diamond K in here on the all new RadioFire.com. Of course, Diamond K in the morning. Thank you for joining me. A lot of things I want to get into today. Of course, here on the program, we deliver the biggest political and trending news stories of the day with interviews and original reporting from across the country, emanating from our studios in Baltimore and Atlanta. Show's fun, show is upbeat, but at the same time, I want to expose what is really happening in this country. And there's a lot. There is a lot going on. Of course, on social media, I am at the Diamond K Show at Radio on Fire. So, it seem like 17 years? So the right, something that I'm sure ladies are really excited about after a 17-year hiatus. Cicadas are coming back. Cicadas are coming back. So these adorable bugs. I'm laughing because, as a child, I don't remember. I only remember them, when I was in middle school. I guess it was middle school. I guess it was middle school that the cicadas. I thought they were locusts, but actually they weren't locusts. So cicadas coming back after being gone for quite some time. So here's what they do. They go underground and they stay underground, right? They stay underground for 17 years and then they come back. Then they come back. And that is what's happening right now. Within the next few days, maybe a week and a half at the most, you are going to start to see these cicadas. It's going to be trillions of cicadas in 16 states. So they shift through, dirt, and this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a mess. So like I said, within a few days, couple weeks at the most, you are going to see these cicadas. So Indiana to Georgia to New York, they are coming out in mass numbers. Tennessee, North Carolina. When the entire brood emerges, backyards are going to look like backyards are gonna look crazy. All right, the bug chorus is going to probably sound like lawnmowers. It is going to be a very interesting time. Cicadas mostly come out at dusk. They try to avoid anything that's going to eat them. They're going to try to climb up trees and anything vertical. So once off the ground, they're going to shed their skins. They're going to try to survive in this vulnerable stage before they become dinner to a host of things: ants, birds, dogs, cats will all eat them. So that is it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because many people, I mean, it seemed like 17 years since they were here last. And I guess when you have a car, so I first remember seeing them, in middle school. I don't know. It's been some time, but trillions of cicadas are going to be emerging, and that's going to be interesting. Cicadas, these red eye things. I mean, they're funny looking bugs, but I mean, typical, I suppose. So we used to throw them on girls. to watch them scream in horror from the cicadas. Just tuning in, Diamond K in the morning on the allnewradionfire.com. New episodes of the program drop Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. But I don't want you to miss any of our live broadcasts. In addition to the 8 a.m. program, we drop content throughout the day as news happens. Hit that notification bell so you get an alert whenever we go live. And on social media at the Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. So one person who is not happy about their standing, on social media is the former president, Donald Trump. So Donald Trump has been he's been a lot of things, but he has been a repeat offender with regards to Facebook's policies. And as you know, while he was still president, he was banned, suspended. I like to use the word suspended, but because it could turn over. But the Facebook Oversight Board has upheld its ban against the former president. So they have an independent board that is responsible for oversight. And they have decided that they are going to uphold the suspension of former President Trump's, Facebook privileges. So he can't continue to violate. All right. The social media giant says that they are going to rethink the ban's indefinite nature. And that's why I say I don't want to use the word ban, because they kind of putting it out there that they could change their mind and bring him back at some point in time. Why does this matter? This decision sets a global precedent how Facebook and possibly other social media companies will treat political leaders around the world, quite possibly. So the board found that Trump's post severely violated Facebook's rules, and they questioned the standardless penalty of an indefinite suspension and insisted that the company will find a proportionate response within 6 months. So they're saying that they don't know whether or not indefinite, but maybe a ban for a period of time. So within 6 months, they're going to come back to it. So it is not permissible for Facebook to keep a user off the platform for an undefined period with no criteria for when or whether the account will be restored, according to the board. So the power of Facebook, it's their platform. So in response to the ruling, Facebook's VP of Global Affairs and Communications said that the platform will now consider the board's decision and determine an action that is clear and appropriate, clear and proportionate. In the meantime, Mr. Trump's accounts will remain suspended. What does this mean for the big picture? Facebook, like Twitter, barred Trump for violating its rules in the aftermath of the January 6th Capitol riot. Then referred the case to the board, while Twitter was Trump's chief outlet for mischief, his chief online megaphone. Facebook was his most effective fundraising tool. So when you talk about Trump being angry or upset about the loss of his social media, Facebook was how he was raising money. So the fact that he's not on there, he's not able to rile up his base. He's not able to fundraise with them. That's why you see him in his backyard on his patio speaking to small groups of people, because he can't use social media like that. I predict that they will bring him back at some point in time. Facebook established and funded the Oversight Board to provide independent review when users appeal the company's content and moderation decisions. Facebook has pledged to follow the board's recommendations with regard to specific cases and to give consideration to the board's broader policy recommendations. So Facebook is really trying to cover cover themselves. While Trump was raising money on Facebook, he was paying Facebook to run advertisements. So this was a mutually beneficial arrangement. And throughout the course of his presidency, it's not like the January 6th thing was the only thing he did. It might have been significant, and it was such a public thing that they were forced to do something. But there was a lot of things that Trump used social media for that were not good, that Trump could have and should have gotten banned for. But Facebook was fine to stay in bed with Trump for that period of time. But the January 6th insurrection, there was no way around that one. I think the social media giants were kicking and screaming to ban Trump, because while what he was posting was bad and violated their policies, it was bringing traffic to their platforms. Twitter was down in the dumps back in 2015. Twitter was on their last leg. I'm not saying they were MySpace, but I'm just saying they were, I don't know, what's the name of social network that was almost done, right? Twitter was right there. And Trump was the one that kind of made Twitter, popular again. And I think they were having trouble with advertising. Their, user base was down. So they benefited greatly from Trump's use of their platform, Twitter. Twitter got so much free promotion. Mainstream outlets, hey, Twitter, Trump said this on Twitter. So Twitter. Most people don't even understand how to use Twitter. I like Twitter personally, but a lot of people don't even understand it. So he suspended only because they were forced to do it. And now they're like, is it too soon? Is it too soon? They're going to reinstate him. Yeah, here's my prediction. Before the end of 2021, they're going to probably reinstate him. Or maybe they're going to reinstate him around January of 2022, like a year later. Because 6 months from now, we're roughly talking about end of the year, right? I don't see them keeping him off for longer than a year. So he's going to be back. Whole bunch of foolishness is going to come back with him. He's going to act like he won something. It's going to be. But to me, social media has been a lot better without him. However, he will be back. So, the board also recommended that Facebook should publicly explain the rules that it uses when it imposes account-level sanctions against influential users. So Facebook has already set the precedent that influential users, they're different, right? They can push the envelope real far. How many times have you been in what they call Facebook jail? You ain't really do nothing that much in Facebook jail. Trump should have really been in Facebook jail. Look how much stuff that Trump did before he got this suspension. You post a crazy picture and some ex of whoever you're dating reports it, and you're suspended, right? Because you're not influential, according to the board, right? Anyway, it said that when Facebook does choose to penalize a user, it should assess whether the risk has receded before the suspension ends. There you go. This is attorney speak. Listen to that again. Whenever Facebook does choose to penalize a user, it should assess whether the risk has receded before the suspension ends. So after some more time goes by, they're going to say the risk of the Capitol riot is over. Why don't you go ahead and bring Orange Donnie back? If Facebook finds that the user continued to pose a threat, a serious threat, the board recommends another time-bound suspension should be imposed. So what the board is saying is give them a time. You initiate a riot at the Capitol, you should get a time suspension. They don't want to keep him off indefinitely. Why? Because they want the money that he's going to pay them for advertising. That's what they want. Now, in some instances, you regular folks, you do something, they're going to ban you, and that's it. But they want that money. This is about advertising dollars. I mean, I understand that the board is going to say, of course, it's not about advertising dollars. It's about our policies and procedures and our standards and blah, 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 blah. Just make it clear. It's about the money. Just tuning in, Diamond K in the morning on the all-new radioonfire.com. Of course, new episodes of the program. You can get those anywhere you get podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, radioonfire.com. Also, the WRF Radio app. Simply download WRF Radio. In your app store, leave me a comment. Scroll your timeline, attend the Zoom meeting on mute. Send that email, online shopping, all while listening to Diamond K in the morning. Shout out to the folks over at WRF Radio. So, Radio on Fire, you can get breaking news, adult conversation covering topics that are important to the Black culture, latest news, original radio podcast, and TV programs over there. So, as we continue, the recently convicted Derek Chauvin, former police officer, scum of the earth, piece of human feces. Oh, and let's not forget this. Newly convicted murderer Derek Chauvin is seeking a new trial. What, is there some new evidence? Is there something else we haven't seen? Can you believe this? Can you believe the nerve of this bumbleclot? He's citing that his constitutional rights were compromised multiple times during the trial. Right? What? This murderer, we saw him murder George Floyd on camera. And he says that his constitutional rights, Derek Chauvin says his constitutional rights were compromised. His attorney, Eric Nelson, wrote in the motion that the jury should have been ordered to avoid all media to limit the possibility of presidential coverage of his client. Unbelievable. So the court abused its discretion when it failed to sequester the jury for the duration of the trial, or in the least admonished them to avoid media, which resulted in the jury exposure to presidential publicity regarding the trial during the proceedings. This is hogwash. This is foolishness. These are the attempts of a desperate man he's trying to get some kind of sympathy. You're not gonna get no sympathy from nobody. Even the police don't bang with this guy, right? Nobody wants to touch him. He's a murderer. And he's been convicted. And he wasn't convicted because the jury was on social media or the jury might have watched the news. So this is lame. This is super lame. Super lame. And so that's what they're saying. Says that the attorney continued, as well as the jury intimidation and potential fear of retribution among jurors. So the attorney is saying that the jury was scared. The jury was intimidated, and the jury didn't want any smoke, so they had to come back with a guilty verdict. That's what the attorney for Derek Chauvin is saying. They got a guilty verdict because the whole thing was on video, and we watched the life leave George Floyd's body while this smug, murderous piece of crap had his knee on his neck. That's why he was convicted. He was convicted because it was on videotape. He was convicted because it was on videotape. And the thing is this. Chauvin saw the camera. That did not give him the motivation to stop what he was doing because he thought he was going to get away with it. You can see the smug look on his face while he's doing it. He thought that he was going to get away with this. He can't turn around now and act like he's the victim. He's not the victim. The Floyd family is the victim. George Floyd specifically the victim. So Chauvin thinks that he did, or at least the attorney's trying to state in the motion that he did not get a fair trial. The nerve, Derek Chauvin and his attorney, Eric Nelson, these two bozos are trying to push the we didn't get a fair trial narrative. Chauvin, of course, found guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter in connection with the killing of George Floyd. Almost a year ago. So we're gonna continue to follow that. I assumed that he was going to attempt some type of an appeal, so that is not a surprise. What is a surprise is the language that they're using and the strategy. It's a bad strategy. I mean, it is a losing strategy from the standpoint of he didn't really have an excuse for the murder. It's on tape. I mean, what was he going to say? They tried everything. They tried everything. Nothing worked. So when you come back and you do a new trial, you're still going to have the videotape. You're still going to have the cell phone footage. Even if they try this whole thing again, the result's going to be the same. So why waste our time? Why waste the taxpayers' money? Welcome back, your man Diamond K. Diamond K in the morning, all new radioonfire.com. So Novavax is going to start testing its COVID-19 vaccine on children. So starting yesterday, this Gaithersburg, Maryland-based Novavax on children. So this pharmaceutical company is going to test its shot on 3,000 teenagers between the ages of 12 and 17. at 75 different sites across the country. Patients will either receive a placebo or the vaccine. Currently, Novavax does not have emergency use authorization, even for adults. So it's unclear when the company is going to apply for that approval, but they are trying to, get in there. So 12 to 17-year-olds. Interesting. Would you let your young child, or your 12, 17-year-old teenager, would you let them take this vaccine? Interesting. I think that pretty soon you're going to have approval from all of the other pharmaceutical companies about this. And, we talked about this yesterday. Maryland offering its state employees $100 if they get the vaccine. This is Maryland state employees. I know a lot of y'all wish y'all work for the state now. Just tuning in, Diamond K the Morning on the all-new radioonfire.com. So in the fall, schools are going to be back in the fall. Just I want you to be prepared for that. Baltimore schools said that they're seeing positive results in virtual tutoring. Baltimore City said that these results are positive, that it was a program that was put into place to help students recover from learning loss. Some religious leaders are hoping it'll continue over the summer, and they're even willing to help out. It was promoted as some sort of prescription for academic progress for those Baltimore students struggling to keep up during this pandemic. And based on some of these early results, these efforts are paying off. Virtual tutoring. So Baltimore City took students that were having trouble back in October, and they launched a tutoring program for more than 2,300 elementary school students in 28 schools. So the program is good. I mean, I think that's a great thing. They're excited to announce that they're going to include tutoring options for summer programs. So besides the letter that was sent to the school district, religious leaders are hoping for a face-to-face meeting to explain their summer education plan. So that's all, it's good news. And it's good that they're trying different things, because all I've been hearing is people complain, oh my God, how can my child learn I mean, your child knows how to play every video game, knows how to work all the devices, but they can't learn. No, they can learn. Maybe you can't learn on a computer. Maybe it's confusing for you, but all I hear is complaints. Now, yes, kids need to go back to school, and that's fine, but let's not act like kids are handicapped by the computer. Your generation may be handicapped by computer usage, but these kids are not handicapped by the computer. Get out of here with that foolishness. Governor Larry Hogan announced walk-up vaccinations are being offered at all of these mass vaccination sites. You remember the big rollout. They were doing a big rollout for all these, vaccination spots. However, demand has gone down because of various things, and they're trying to get it pumped back up. They pumped a lot of money into these vaccines, and they want y'all to take them. But during a meeting with the Board of Public Works this morning, The governor announced all eligible Marylanders can get vaccinated without appointments at any of the 13 mass vaccination sites. They're like, please take this vaccine. Please take this vaccine. You remember that? Look, you're in group A, 1A. You're in group 1D, like you're boarding a plane or something. And you're waiting for them to call. What's my ticket number? And you're waiting for them to call your row. You remember when it was like that? Now they're like, please come take this needle. Get the shot in your arm, please. So as of today, Maryland's reported close to 5 million vaccinations, close to it. According to official CDC data, 62.5% of Marylanders 18 and older and 85% of Marylanders 65 and older have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Now, you're wondering, all 13 sites will be open. Some of them will carry only Moderna, some will only carry Pfizer, and some will carry both. No news on the availability of Johnson & Johnson. Y'all want to take that? Johnson & Johnson. But Maryland's health department has released data showing that the J&J vaccine is back in use. But, so Pfizer is the only vaccine authorized for 16 and 17-year-olds. So they have plenty of locations. Montgomery College, Mall in Columbia, Maryland State Fairgrounds, Frederick County, Six Flags, Regency Furniture Stadium, Ripken Stadium, M&T Bank Stadium, the Baltimore Convention Center, Greenbelt Metro Station, Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, Hagerstown, McCormick Youth Center. Those are the locations. So the governor is encouraging, the health department encouraging those walk up. You want to get the vaccine. So there's been some back and forth between Baltimore's Mayor Brandon Scott and the governor Larry Hogan. So Governor Hogan, as usual, opening his mouth and talking crazy about Baltimore. The governor frequently he has a very strained relationship with the mayors of Baltimore. So Hogan calls violent crime in Baltimore unacceptable. And Mayor Scott responded to the criticism. But here's the thing. This is something that I see politicians do at times. Trump did this. Hogan does this all the time. Hogan is governor of the state of Maryland, but he talks about Baltimore like it's not in Maryland. Like Baltimore is a part of Maryland. And Trump used to do that. Act like the Democratic run states weren't part of America. You're the president of the whole country, but he tried to single out different places if they have a different political affiliation, like it's not part of that place. It's a really weird thing. Something to shirk responsibility. So anyway, Maryland's Governor Hogan speaking to reporters yesterday. Hogan was asked about an incident that took place Sunday night where two Korean women were assaulted in Druid Heights. So some surveillance footage showed a man attacking the women with a cement block as they were closing late Sunday night. Hogan said he was outraged. It was pretty hard to watch with two older women being smashed in the head with a cinder block. We're going to get to the bottom of this. And that was a devastating thing to see. Sure. There are a lot of devastating things. But I'm sure that he was especially enraged because of the ethnicity of his wife, right? It was truly outrageous for him. So addressing this recent surge in violence in his state, he's acting like Baltimore is a whole nother state. We are very concerned about the increase in violent crime in the city, the governor said. It's got three main root causes. Oh, he knows everything, right? If you know everything, then solve the crime, Deputy Hogan. Says, number one, we're not doing anything about violent repeat offenders and all the people that are committing the gun crimes over and over again. He wants to talk about guns, right? These Republicans. 2 years in a row, we had legislation that would address that. It passed the Senate both times, an overwhelmingly Democratic Senate, and both times the House killed it with the help of Baltimore City's delegation. So, number one, we have to get tougher laws. Number two, we can't defund the police, which is the mayor's plan. We've got to invest more in our police. And number three, we have to have a prosecutor that's willing to prosecute crimes. Now, so you see that Hogan has this very contentious relationship with Baltimore and black people. I'm not talking about the black people that roll over for him, right? I ain't talking about those. I'm talking about strong black people. He has a very contentious relationship with strong black politicians. Why? I think that it's obvious. Whether it's Brandon Scott, whether it's Sheila Dixon, whether it's Catherine Pugh, whether it's Jack Young, who was kowtowing for Hogan, by the way. But anyway, he has this contentious relationship. So he tries to throw Brandon Scott, Mayor Scott, under the bus. Tries to throw Mosby under the bus in his statements, right? He doesn't come or address things as a potential partner. He tries to distance himself and throw the black politicians in the black city under his white bus. And so many black people, oh, Hogan this, Hogan that. I mean, Hogan is not our friend. Hogan's no friend of Baltimore. Hogan is a shady politician, like most. So soon after these statements Hogan made, he sent out a tweet saying that the increase of violent crime in Baltimore City is unacceptable. Rather than defunding our police, we need to invest more in the law enforcement, pass better laws to hold violent criminals accountable, and we need prosecutors who actually want to prosecute those laws. Who's talking about defunding the police? Did the mayor say he's going to defund the police? And, you know, messaging is so important. So when you say defund the police, that's the wrong word to use. But using that word, it means such a vast amount of things. But the governor just wants to focus on the word. Nobody's even talking about defunding the police. So violent crime, no, police have been defunded. So to say that it's happening because the police have been defunded, I mean, it's lame. It's not surprising coming from this governor. I'll be glad when he's gone. It is not surprising coming from him. So Mayor Scott then responded to that tweet, and he said, this is Brandon Scott, the mayor of Baltimore, said that rather than relying solely on stat quo solutions, quote unquote solutions, and MAGA talking points, how about actually meeting with me to discuss violent crime, gun trafficking, and restarting the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, as I've asked before, Larry Hogan. I'm ready when you are. That's coming from Baltimore's Mayor Brandon Scott. You know, the state's attorney for Baltimore City, Marilyn Mosby, also responded to Governor Hogan's comments, and she tweeted, "The audacity of Mr. Blue Lives Matter, the man who vetoed police reform, killed the red line, vetoed education funding increases through Kerwin, yet never misses a chance to dump on Baltimore City. Stop only being concerned about Baltimore when it's politically convenient for you. She summed that up very well. You wonder why, these white politicians and the white media don't like her. That was well crafted. I also like what Mayor Scott said, but Marilyn Mosby really hit the nail on the head. I talk about the red line all the time. People that don't know, Governor Hogan killed that. That was something that was going to really help Baltimore City specifically. The audacity of Mr. Blue Lives Matter, she called him. He's the person who vetoed police reform, but because police, it does need to be reformed. There need to be a lot of changes. There's a lot of blame to go around. Earlier this week, Mayor Scott, along with Baltimore's police commissioner, Michael Harrison, said that they are going to continue to look for the ways to suppress the violence. There has been a string of deadly days, pushing the homicide count far beyond last year's pace. Things are not good. This is true. Monday night, 7 people had been killed since Saturday. Homicide total for the year is 107. This time last year, there were 91. 91 killings, ultimately reaching 335. So there's a lot of work to be done, and politicians taking jabs at each other is not going to solve the problem. We do need some solutions. We do need some solutions. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Of course, this is Diamond K in the morning. You get breaking news, adult conversations, covering topics that are important to the Black culture. Visit radioonfire.com for our original radio podcast and TV programs. I'm able to deliver our news and our views because of your support. And we here at Radio on Fire always welcome it. We need your support. Diamond K in the morning, you can send a donation via Cash App, cash.app/$ DJ Diamond K. PayPal.me/Radio on Fire. Also go to Radio on Fire, hit the donate button, or radioonfire.com/join. We are powered by the people, and of course, your support is always welcome. So we're going to continue to follow this story in Baltimore. As I said, no matter who the mayor is, as long as they're black, they're going to clash with Governor Hogan because he's going to conveniently talk smack about Baltimore. So with regards to the assault on the 2 female Korean liquor store workers, suspect was arrested. That attack happened Sunday in West Baltimore. 50-year-old Daryl Doyles faces these assault charges. The attack occurred at the Wonderland Liquor Store on Pennsylvania Avenue in Druid Heights. They were closing Sunday night, and Doyle attacked them with a cinder block. So they've set up a GoFundMe page. And if you want to help them recover from the attack, they have a GoFundMe page out there. So the worst of it, she had to get 25 stitches in her head, and she suffered 2 black eyes. Both of the women's CT scans came back good. They are now home recovering. Serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police have not specified whether They are investigating this as a hate crime. So I definitely want them to, get well and recover. Hate crimes. Black people have been victims of hate crimes. Asian, all people. Well, maybe not all people, but many people. And that is not good. That is not acceptable at all. But I want the same level of outrage for everybody. Same level of outrage for everybody, not just certain people. You know what I mean? Not when it's politically convenient, as Marilyn Mosby said, because that is something that happens out here when it is politically convenient. As I said, you can support what we do here, radioonfire.com. And I'm gonna be back later on today. There are a few other stories that we need to get to, a few other things that we need to take care of with regards to things going on across the country. Cicadas. Are you excited about cicadas? No. Many people are not excited about the cicadas. All right, we're going to be back a little bit later on today. Your man, Diamond K.